Hello students, I wanted to touch base with you as we enter week number 8 of our semester, and as I'm sure you know, the summer semester is 10 weeks, so we are getting so close to the end. Look at that, only a couple short weeks left, and so wanted to touch base with you just to kind of see what is remaining, what we need to do, and maybe answer some questions that you might be thinking out there in cyberspace. One is I just want to blow this schedule up a little bit bigger so that you can see it, but of course you have the link to it. It was given to you in the orientation section of PAWS, and this week and next week you're working on chapters 9 and 10. What you're going to find is that these chapters very much build on chapters 7 and 8. So once we crossed that threshold into normal probability, this really becomes the basis of all of our further studies. We start to see that, probability is equal to area, whether it's an area inside of a rectangle like that uniform distribution, or whether it's an area underneath a curve, and that we're just constantly looking at an area, going to our chart, saying what is the value of this particular area, and then understanding that that is the probability that the events will occur, whatever events we're tracking, right? So hopefully you'll see that this starts to build and build. Now, if you had difficulty with chapters 7 and 8, you might want to revisit the YouTube videos, right? Academic Support Center, some of the videos that I posted to the homepage. We'll talk more about that. And, of course, ask me questions. Now, I am very particular about the information that you need to give me, but I don't want you to see that as a deterrent. What I want you to understand is that we can't just say, how do I do this problem? There was this thing, and then it was like this, and then, I think it was like 7.2, but I don't know, then it was like 6 point, and they said something. We can't work with that, right? This is very specific. Math is really, very matter of fact, and the words have meaning. So every particular word has to be looked at, and that's why I need the copy of the problem. But that being said, please don't get discouraged. I'm glad to answer your questions when you have them, okay? But you do need to send me the information that you have. Okay. So you're working on Chapter 9. You're going to look at Learning Project number 4, which, as you know by this time, is more videos, and it's my way of kind of feeding you resources. You have some of your last opportunities for extra credit work, and we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we'll have another test when we cover Chapters 9 and 10 to assess your understanding. Now, as we talk about that, I want to talk about the importance of the Kinect Homework as it relates to your test. And as you certainly are seeing at this point in the semester, you have got to provide time. You've got to cull out some time. And one of the analogies I like to use is that if you're training to run in the Boston Marathon, you can either run an hour a day for 2 months, let's say, to prepare. But that is completely different. That's a much better preparation than if you say, I'm going to run for 2 days straight. In other words, if the marathon is on a Sunday, I'm going to run all day Friday, I'm going to run all day Saturday, and then I'm going to show up for the marathon. You probably think of that as being ridiculous, and yet you're doing it. If you are not working on Kinect every single day for 30 minutes to an hour, probably at this part in the semester, probably an hour, maybe hour and a half, every day. Every day. You've got to have time to push back, to think, to digest, to ask questions, and to allow me time to respond. Okay? So, let me talk a little bit more about the importance of homework, and I want you to see something with this. This is our class average early in the semester. Obviously, Chapter 1, these are where we typically kind of do well, right? 93%, 80%. And the overall exam average for Exam 1 was 73. Not coincidentally, that exam average, and this is true practically every semester, tends to come out to be the average of the homework grades. Why do you think that is? Look, I'll do this again. Here's Exam 2. Look how it plummeted to 59%. But if I go out and I do that average, Look how in this case it exactly matches. As we look at exam 3, and I have posted your exam 3 grades into pause. Now here your exam grades went up a little bit, highly unusual from the homework average, and there are some reasons I actually know about for that. But um, as I look at this, here's the point. The higher you raise your homework grade, the better you will do on the exam. It's no coincidence because the exam comes directly from the homework grades. The more you practice, the better you'll do. Now, I'm not trying to talk down to you, but I want to give you this as an analogy as you think about this. If you have small children in the house who, maybe they're in first grade, second grade, or you've had them, or you remember your own experiences from that. Remember when you would come home with 2 pages of addition and subtraction, and you just said to yourself that that teacher was ridiculous, wasn't she? Or he? I mean, they gave you 2 pages, something like 50 problems of addition and subtraction. And how long did it take you to do those problems? It took you forever because you were not experienced, you were not practiced at those processes, right? Now, you can look over a small child's shoulder and say, oh, 7 plus 3, that's 10, while they're still saying 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Well, what caused that difference? Is it because you're older? No, doesn't have anything to do with your age. It has to do with your experience, your practice with it. So the way that you're going to boost your exam grade is by your experience with those problems in the homework. That's why I let you have unlimited attempts. It really goes to the fact that the numbers are changing and you are just repeating the process. In addition, you repeat the process even though the numbers change. That's what you need to do here. So what I encourage you to do as you look forward to chapters 9 and 10 is to repeat it and to repeat it and to repeat it. You might submit with only 1 or 2 problems in that particular section completed. That's okay. Does it mean you have to rework them? Yes, it does. And you'll be faster every time you do. Okay? That's what you need to do. And then what we want to see is not a declining trend in these test scores, but I want to see a really strong exam number 4. It's not the final exam, but it is nearing it. Now, speaking of the final exam, you do have one, let me go back to the schedule here. You do have one drop grade, as you probably know. And if you have played your card right, and maybe hopefully life has not given you a bad set of circumstances, then your comprehensive final exam could very well be the grade that you get to drop. You only get to drop one of those exam grades, okay? Now, the comprehensive exam is going to cover chapters 1 through 11, and chapter 11 is our very last chapter. Your homework for chapter 11 is required no matter what. Okay, so you're going to end up doing the homework. It's just whether or not you have to take the comprehensive final exam. Now, what I'm saying is that everybody's required to take it. If you choose not to take it, you earn a grade of 0, right? In which case, hopefully, that's your lowest grade and therefore would be the drop grade, right? But for now, that's just kind of looking ahead. For now, you are focusing on chapter 9 and 10 and in preparation of exam number 4. Now, let's talk a little bit more about grades and preparation of final exam, that kind of thing. I'm going to go over here to pause. This is our course in pause, and I have clicked on the grades link. When you click on that grades link, what you're going to see is all of your grades that have been posted. Those grades are always available to you. You just go out there, look, you know immediately what your grades are. But I do want to explain a couple things as it relates to the syllabus. First of all, as you look at this, remember that your posting of your introduction into the discussion board was a bonus assignment. So the way that you read this is that if you did it, you may have received the full point, which is 2 points. Out of how many required points? 0. 0 points were required. Now, that's a little different than, let's say, a learning project. Learning project 1 had a value of 20 points. Bonus, you're not required to do it, so it doesn't have any required points. But a learning project has 20 required points. Out of those points, in my little fake student account, I earned 18. Okay, I've created two columns here. I kind of started over, and in one column I say points I've earned. Now, for bonus points, I earned 2. Don't look up at this subtotal, mark that out. I've earned 2 discussion board bonus points. How many were possible? You know, that's 0, or I could say required. How many were required? However you want to do that. Maybe I'll go back to required. 0 were required. Look at your learning project. Well, this is my fake student account. I earned 18, 20 points were required. I earned 19, 20 points were required. Now, we have, as you know, 5 learning projects. We've only completed 3 of those. So you can now continue entering in your grades in one of 2 ways. You could say, oh goodness, I've earned 0 points. Isn't that what it says out of 20? But what's that going to do to your average? It's going to make it look like you have a really, really bad, sorry, all my things going off here, average. So you can either, for right now, don't use those points, or you can kind of estimate, what if I earn an 18 out of 20 points? What if, for the Learning Project 5, what if I earn 18 out of 20 points? So you could what if, okay? However you want to do it. I'm going to leave them out. But students often want those in there. Now, again, I've got extra credit points for Chapter 2 there. I earned 3 points. None were required. For extra credit Chapter 3, 3 points. None were required. Okay, and on and on and on, right? Ignore these subtotals, folks. Ignore them. Now, finally, I get down to my exam grades. As you know, there is no minimum exam score. I earned 45 out of 50 points. Ooh, look at that. Exam 2, I earned 50 out of 50 points. Exam 3, ooh, not so good. 35 out of 50 points. Right? Now, what are we going to do about these exams we have not taken? Exams 4, 5, and 6. Well, maybe I'm going to what if. What if I earned 40 out of 50 points for exam 4? What if, for exam 5, I blow it, I earn 30 out of 50, right? So you can do that. Now, what about exam number 6? This is the comprehensive final, and if you are happy with your prior exam scores, you may very well earn a 0 out of 50, but if I drop that grade, I'm not going to leave a 0 here with 50. That's not how a drop grade works. A drop grade says no points were required. No points earned, no points required. So I'm going to delete it. I'm not going to include that at all. Right? Now, in reality, we have not yet taken exams 4 and 5. So if you what if them, you know, that's great. If not, delete them. We've only taken 3 exams. Here they are. So, you know, this is calculating your grade. Now, why am I doing all this? Let me do just a few more and then I'll explain. Chapter 1 homework. 10 points I earned out of 10 required points. How about Chapter 2? Oh, 9. Good, good. 9 out of 10 points. What about Chapter 3? Oh, man. I got 2 bonus points. You know what I could do? I could go ahead and add those 2 bonus points to this, because see how 0 required? Or if you want to do it as a separate line item, that's fine. Okay. What am I going to do here? Did it meet the minimum score? No, it didn't. So guess what? That's what that looks like. That's what that looks like. Why do I push you so hard on that? I push you because it is important that you improve your homework grade so that you do well on the test. Now the last step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sum up all these points that I earned. And I'm going to sum up all those points that were required. And I am quite simply going to divide the number of points I earned by the number of points required. As I stand today in my fictitious student account, doing only the grades I have, I would have an 87.9%. I don't do weighted percentages because you are in charge of calculating your grade. You know how to do an average. I know you can do it. So I hope this recap of how to do your grades is helpful to you, okay?